Hey everyone, I'm Jack Fossett, and this is the Wampler Belle Overdrive. I'm very excited to get this pedal and to be able to play this for you all and everything, and I can already tell you that this is going to be one that will be used a lot, that I'm going to use a lot, not only for videos but for my own music. There are three reasons that I wanted this pedal. Number one is what it's based off of, which is the Nobels ODR-1, which is aptly called the Other Green Overdrive, often mistaken for a tube screamer. Not a tube screamer, really its own thing. Uniquely its own transparent overdrive is my kind of experience with it. And I know you would say, well, how can a transparent overdrive sound different from another transparent overdrive? Doesn't that create a paradox of tone, potentially suck you into the vortex of the multiverse? Yes, it does. I don't really know what transparent means anymore because the clone style pedals, I think, have their own sound too. But they are great overdrive pedals. So that's the number one. Number two is that when Wampler does a pedal inspired by another circuit, that's always the starting point. They tend to go a vastly wider direction, and again, just use it as a starting point. And I think of things like the Tumnus or the Pantheon. There's some that I haven't had the opportunity to play yet, but I'm familiar with, like, you know, the Clarksdale, or even the Velvet Fuzzer, or things like that, where it kind of takes the inspiration of one idea but then gives you all kinds of different directions to go with it. And this one has loads of features, which we're going to talk about in a second. And number three, my oldest daughter's named Annabelle, and it's spelled at the end the same, Belle. So that just makes it kind of special. So let's talk about this pedal a little bit. So, as I mentioned, features-wise, this thing is loaded to the brim, and I'm actually very, very impressed as how much they have packed into this small box. This is a small pedal, and the traditional Nobels pedals had a level, a gain, and then the tone was called spectrum. And this one has level, gain, bass, and color. And color is kind of like the spectrum. And then it has this little switch on the side. Gain and level are pretty obvious, but it's color and bass that really make this super versatile. So now the bass, I just wanted to mention, I'm not going to play around with this too much in this video. I'm playing into a Twin Reverb, which I'll talk about also more in a second. But that being a big amplifier that's pretty, you know, it's got a really powerful bass response and everything, I'm mostly keeping this set standard. There is a lot you can do with a lot of different amps to tone shape with the bass, but for the first part I had it pretty much at noon, and now for the next part I'm going to be playing with humbuckers and pull it a bit just to accommodate for the humbuckers. The color, what's cool about it is the way that it affects the frequencies, and that's if you push the color higher, it increases the highs, and if you pull it back, it decreases the highs. Well, how is that any different? Well, what's cool about it is it doesn't seem to affect the other frequencies. It's not like this huge sweeping tone knob where way back here it gets, you know, just like super Mud City, and way up here and you're like, what are you doing to me? It retains the mid-range and kind of keeps that standard and unaffected. For instance, if you're kind of pushing it back, like I found that in the Twin, it sounds best if you pull it a little bit, and it's just kind of notching that upper frequency without affecting the rest of the tone. So that's really, really great if you're playing into a really bright amplifier, or if you're playing into a really dark amplifier, and you can easily adjust for that sort of that top end, which so often tends to define a lot of the rest of the character of our tone, especially when you get into a band setting where that's mostly what sails through the mix. The color and the bass are just two well done knobs that very simplistically allow you to really get the most out of your guitar and your amplifier. And can I be perfectly honest when I say I think probably, I don't know, let's make up a ridiculous number here, 97.5% of getting good tone is figuring out how to notch bad frequencies. I'm going to make that kind of bold statement right now. Now, lastly, you've got this little switch here which goes to asymmetrical clipping per the manual, and that kind of gives it this extra punch, and it changes the character, not in a drastic way, but it does give that kind of asymmetrical punchy snarl and a little bit more of this bite to the tone that can accommodate a lot of different amplifiers and a lot of different rigs and things. Now, I'm personally more of a fan of symmetrical clipping than asymmetrical clipping, but having this on there is a huge bonus, and again, just another simple way to really be able to dial it in just right for the sound that you want. With the asymmetrical clipping, you know, would be exceptional for going into a British style amplifier that's already pushed a little bit. That might give it a little bit more of that kind of edgy snarl that you might want, while not completely changing the character of the pedal. These are all just kind of ways you can shape it a little bit to adjust to your rig. Now again, I mentioned I like the name. I also like the styling. It's really cool to have the old gramophone on the on the top. It's got the appropriate color. It's that kind of Kelly green that just works for that pedal. So I mentioned I'm playing into the Twin Reverb into this video, and there's kind of a funny story about this. I'm in the Wampler Tone group on Facebook. I had just gotten the Twin Reverb the other day, and I was setting up to do this video, to record the shooting for this video. I had posted a picture of my new Twin Reverb, and in the caption I had also written, by the way, because I had posted when I got the Belle, I said, you know, by the way, demo's coming this Friday of the Belle for anyone who's interested. And so I'm setting up to shoot the demo, and I'm plugging into my VHT D50. Literally right before I start shooting, I very quickly check the post, and I look, and Mr. Richard Oliver wrote a comment on it and said, "I can't wait to hear the bell through that amplifier." And so I went, I changed all the cables and moved the microphones. So, if you like hearing it through the Twin Reverb, you have Mr. Richard Oliver to thank for that. I am excited because it works really well, and I will say that it's one of those unique pedals that, again, kind of has this transparent quality to it, but a hint of its own character that shines through and works well with different amplifiers. And that being said, I don't find, this might be contrary to some people's expectations, and I don't know if you have one of the amplifiers in this line, but I don't find Fender Blackface amps to be the best pedal platforms all the time when it comes to dirt pedals. When it comes to overdrive or distortion or fuzz, I can find them to be a little too grainy, almost a little too snappy. They're a little too bright, and I usually find that I'm just racing to turn back the gain and to turn back the tone when I'm using an overdrive pedals into those. The tone doesn't sink in of an overdrive. It kind of sits on top in this sort of snappy in your face way, which works for some people. For other people it doesn't. But anyway, that's been my experience with those amps, and I'm not saying you can't use overdrive pedals. It's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying they respond differently than some people might expect them to. This one works really, really well with the Twin, and again, kind of goes to show off how versatile it is. So, you've just heard it with the Fender Stratocaster, and of course I mentioned I'm going to be playing with humbuckers too. I'm going to play with the Gibson ES-345, going straight into the Twin Reverb, nothing else going on in the signal chain. Let us know what you think of the Belle Overdrive. If you had a chance to get one of these yet, this is just a super cool pedal. I've always liked Wampler drives also because, and I've mentioned this in other demos, but I find that whatever it is about the character of overdrive and the character of gain, different pedal builders ears are tuned differently, and some people like sort of certain styles of gain and some people like other styles of gain, and you can hear that in the differences. Especially it's most notable between pedals that are inspired by classic pedals, right? Not everybody does a tube screamer quite the same way, not everybody does a blues breaker quite the same way, and it's not always that some of them are bad, but sometimes you're not kind of on the same page with what a pedal builder likes as far as gain. It's almost like your ears are tuned differently. Well, I found that my ears happen to be tuned very much akin to Brian Wampler's. The way that he does drive, it's like right the way that I hear drive in my head, as opposed to, and again, I've played other pedal builders where I certainly wouldn't, say it was a bad pedal in any mean. It'd be a great pedal, but their ears just tuned a little differently than mine as far as how, some drives are grainier, some drives are bassier, some just the whole character of the clipping and things. Well, I found with his drives that they sit just where I like them, and that's been my experience with pretty much all of the drive pedals from Wampler that I've played. So again, let us know what you think in the comments. Stick around for some more tones from the humbuckers. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video.